We count down to the November 2025 governorship election. The political atmosphere is charged with allegations, reforms, and raised stakes shaping the unfolding drama. First, in a startling development just days before the critical senatorial by-election this Saturday, a coalition of civil society groups has now urged the removal of the INEC resident electoral commissioner. They accuse her of plotting to predetermine the outcome, claiming she already has prepared results favoring a specific candidate. Tonight, we'll also bring you the latest on the Labour Party's governorship flag bearer, Dr. George Moghalu. His defection from the APC last year, his outspoken critic of the incumbent, and his bold one-term promise. We'll dig into his 12-point tech-driven agenda, his take on zoning and political integrity, as well as his honest assessment of the race against the sitting governor with federal support. Stay with us, everyone, as we dissect the pivotal issues, the choices facing people of Anambra ahead of that election, as well as the real prospects for credible governance moving forward. Dr. Moghalu, thank you for joining us on the program this evening.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for having me.
My name is Nifemi, so Emmanuel is my producer who's been reaching you.
Oh, sorry.
But you're talking to Nifemi for the next 20 minutes thereabout. You resigned from the APC last year, a party you helped found and even served as its first national auditor. Let's begin from there. What precisely drove that decision?
I've heard this question quite a few times, and I've always provided a simple, very clear answer. Like I've always said, in any political contestations, two issues are very critical. One is the person, two is the platform. For the person, the decision is for me to make. I decided who I want to consult if need be, or I don't consult anybody at all, but the decision is mine to make. But when it has to do with the platform, it involves quite a lot of people, your colleagues, your friends, your political associates, members of your team, and whatever. At the end of the day, me, for example, being somebody guided by loyalty to friendship and loyalty to group decision, after wide consultation, a group came up and said, no, if we are going to contest this election, that the platform we are going to use is the platform of the Labour Party. And I have no choice than to align myself with that decision. And then we moved on to join Labour Party. So it's about realizing the ambition we have set for ourselves. It's about taking a platform that will enable us carry the Anambra along as we get along. So
I hear you, but your situation is kind of unique because you were also MD of NIWA. You previously ran primaries in 2017 and 2021 on the platform of the APC. Observers suggest you had a more viable path to governorship with that party. Did you leave because you believed you wouldn't get the party ticket?
No, not at all. I'm not somebody, I'm not scared by any situation. If the fear of getting the party ticket was the issue, I wouldn't have even left, because I have the capacity, I have the ability, I have the acceptability to contest and win a party ticket. So that's not the issue. Like I said, it goes beyond that. It requires involving the people you are aspiring to lead. It's about getting their opinion into contention. It's about knowing how they feel with regards to the various political parties. And that was why, like I said, a group met and said, no, after due consultation, after clear understanding of what the political terrain is like, that they think very strongly, and they hold to it very strongly, that the option left for us is for us to use the platform of a Labour Party to contest the election. And we had no choice. I have no choice than accepting the recommendation of the team that I put in place. And then I had to go along with them. So it's not about fear of getting the party ticket, because even in the Labour Party, I contested for the ticket.
Apart from the recommendation of this group that you trust so much, like you mentioned, you have answered this question a couple of times, and at some point you had said, I'm quoting you now, I have resolved to join the Labour Party after a thorough evaluation. The Labour Party aligns with my core values. Can you expand on which APC principles you felt were misaligned with these values, and how Labour Party better aligns with your ideals in this regard?
Principally, principally, the Labour Party is about the people. The Labour Party is about the interest of the majority of the people. We may not be able to meet with the expectation of everybody. All right? But the point is that it is about the people. And one of my core values is looking for an opportunity to be of service to the people. I've always said, for me, it is first the people, second the people, third the people. If not for the people, there's no reason for me to be in public office. There's no need for me to seek for public service. So the point is that Labour Party aligns completely with the interests and welfare of the people of Anambra State, particularly. And that also, like I did say, informed my decision of aligning with Labour Party, because they align with my core principles, which is about the people.
Perhaps we're going to talk more about this subsequently, maybe after this election, because it's also probes further the integrity of the party that you have left, the APC, which is now the ruling party, and whether or not it actually stands for the people, because I doubt if your former colleagues will agree entirely with you in that regard. But you hail from Anambra South, like the incumbent governor, and you've affirmed support for the current zoning arrangement that after this term, the governorship moves to another senatorial district. Why commit to serving only one term? And how firm is that commitment?
Only one term. I have said I'm a beneficiary of the zoning system. And for me, it is sacrosanct. And if the zoning has said that the only what is left for Anambra South to complete its term is 4 years, that I completely align with that commitment. And I stand strongly by it. And I've always said, what you cannot do in 4 years, you cannot do in 8 years, you cannot even do in 12 years. The inability of a leader to have successors to whom he can be confident enough to hand over leadership after his 4 years is failure on its own. So I believe that within 4 years, I should be able to do what I promised on the Anambra and prepare the grounds for whoever will emerge from the next zone, whose turn it will become, to serve the people of the state. So I believe very strongly, and I'm committed to it, and I'm not ready to change that grounds, that in 4 years, I should be able to keep my promise within the Anambra.
Are you aware that there's a rising trend with this one term of a thing? We've heard it from politicians like Peter Obi and a few others who have framed the one-term pledge as virtuous. Do you align with Peter Obi in this regard? Is it an ideology? Is it an ideology for you?
It's not what you must understand about such commitments is a matter of the person. It's not a matter of the platform. Because the platform of Labour will still present candidates as the years go by. Even in the next 20 years, God giving us life, Labour Party will also have candidates. But the point is that it's about the individual. Peter Obi also made his own commitment as Mr. Peter Obi, making a commitment that he will serve only one term. And he's sticking by it. He has said it and he has confirmed it. Just like I did say, I am making myself available. Let the Anambra trust me, I will serve only for one term or 4 years. And I believe, I'm convinced, very, very convinced, that in 4 years, I will leave a legacy. In 4 years, I'll be able to prove to the Anambra State that I mean what I say. And that in 4 years, the promises I'm making to the Anambra, I will deliver on my promises. If I cannot do what I've said in 4 years, even in 8 years, I will not be able to do it.
Unfortunately, it is hard to tell whether Peter Obi is fully with the Labour Party and whether or not we would see the Peter Obi effect, that swept through the Southeast during the 2023 election, replicate itself in this particular election. Is that something that bothers you?
All right. You see, I want to draw your attention to the flag off we had on the 11th of last month. And at that flag off, Mr. Peter Obi, our leader, came out in plain language and said that he is a Labour Party man and that he aligns completely with Labour Party. He aligns completely with me as the governorship candidate of the party in Anambra State. and will do everything within his personal capacity to make sure that we win the election. That the issue of ADC, which you mentioned, is for the 2027 elections. And he painted an analogy. He said, because somebody has offered me dinner, does not mean I shouldn't take breakfast. In this instance, that labor is breakfast, dinner is ADC. That by the time we get towards 2027, then he will not come out in a position to tell Nigerians, not only in the Anambra this time, whether he is going to run the election on ADC or any of his choice. But the point is that Peter Obi is our leader. Peter Obi is in Labour Party. Peter Obi will remain in Labour Party till after the gubernatorial elections on November 8th, because that is what he said.
Governor Soludo recently described politicians promising single terms as exhibiting mental instability. I'm sure you've heard that. How do you respond to that criticism?
No, it's unfortunate because actually the person that has mental problem is the person who is in leadership, and insecurity has led to the death of a lot of people. Killings taking place left, right, and center, and you're not addressing the needs of the people. I think that's the person actually who needs a medical evaluation. It is not about somebody making a promise he is certain he will keep.
Well, I guess he hasn't been the only one, talking about this. There are many Nigerians who think it's a product of political desperation for a politician to think of fixing the problem of a state or of an entire country within the period of 4 years.
How many years did the Constitution grant you?
4.
8 years is not a right.
4 in the first instance. Political history teaches us that if you do well,
it's a consequence of the confidence of the people in reference to your performance.
Exactly the point I was making, Dr. Moghalu, that history has taught us that if you do well in the four years, the people, automatically trust you with the second term.
If they trust you and you tell them that there are other people who can do the same thing you're doing, what's wrong with that? Because one thing I can tell you about my state, Anambra, where I come from, is that every state in Anambra State has the capacity to generate a federal cabinet. Every street can provide a good governorship candidate in the entire state. So governorship candidates or governorship materials are not lacking in the central, which is the next zone after the south. So also in the north, so also in the south. So every zone, senatorial zone has enough governorship materials or governorship candidates or whatever. So we are not lacking any in terms of human capacity. So if it gets to every zone, the zone will have enough people to present to the Anambra State to make their choice. The truth about it is that second term is not a right.
All right. You've also talked about Anambra needing urgent redemption because Governor Soludo, according to you, has failed the people. You said there is severe lack of infrastructure. According to you, security has collapsed. But his administration is also noted for digital innovation. We have heard about infrastructure projects and awards in ICT. We'll talk more about that shortly after this break. Stay with us, everyone. George Moghalu is the Labour Party governorship candidate in the November election in Anambra State. Thank you for staying the course on the program this evening. By the way, before we move on with our conversation, what's the current situation within the Labour Party? Prior to this time, we heard that there are factions and that there were multiple candidates who were claiming the same ticket.
I'm not aware of any faction. Like I did say when I was asked the same question yesterday, I said as to the best of my knowledge that there are no factions in Labour. I belong to Labour Party, and I'm the candidate of Labour Party. Anambra State. This is the position on the ground. So there's actually no faction in Anambra State.
Walk us through your assessment of the current situation within your party, because you are aware of a particular protest last week to the national headquarters of the Labour Party. As a politician who needs votes to win election, I'm sure you would wish that all of these disgruntled voices come together under a single umbrella to support your ambition to be governor?
All right, you see, I've always tried to explain this. Labour Party, like any human organization, will once in a while have issues. You see, in any human organization, issues of interest, issues of ambition will certainly come up and it will clash. And when it clashes, you have one disagreement or the other. As you have in a Labour Party today, like I did say, in Anambra State, where I am from and where I am contesting for the governorship of the state, we don't have any of such problem because there are no factions in the Labour Party in Anambra State. However, I must be honest enough to acknowledge that at the national, there are issues that has to do with leadership. And to the extent and to the best of my knowledge, the issues have been taken up to the point of Supreme Court, and judgment has been given. The judgment has been served on INEC, that is the arbitrating authority. INEC is the supervising authority. INEC is the regulatory authority. It is until INEC comes out and says, we are standing here or we are standing there, that confusion will still remain because the interests will still continue to clash. But for me, I would wish, like any other person wish, I don't want to have my party having any issue at whatever level that may be. Though I don't have any problem, we don't have any problem in Anambra State. But since there is a level of disagreement at the national, I would wish that we get to a point where all these things will be sorted out through direct engagement with all the interested parties, so that we can, at the end of the day, come out as a united front. Labour is a beautiful brand, so whatever we can do to sustain that beauty, to avoid any form of disagreement, will be encouraged.
Your election in November pits you against the incumbent governor, who is strongly aligned with the federal government. And you know what that means because you were an appointee of the same federal government just a couple of years ago. How realistic are your chances, Dr. Moghalu, and what factors could, in reality, tip the balance in your favor?
Like somebody said the other day that the November 8th election will be a referendum on the performance of the state government as is today constituted. A referendum on their performance in agriculture, a referendum on the performance on security, a referendum on performance on health and all the other aspects of governance. The truth about it is that, yes, I was an appointee of the federal government, for which I'm eternally grateful because he provided me an opportunity to serve our people. But the point still remains that the determination as to who will be governing this state, excuse me, after November 8th rests entirely on the people. The people will decide who they want to lead them. Let me since have this opportunity to use this platform to appeal to INEC to justify the people's confidence, to do what is right, not to betray the confidence. It's an opportunity for them to redeem their image. It's an opportunity for them to present the issues as it is. Whatever is the decision of the people, let them allow the will of the people to prevail. Once they play their own role, they leave the rest of the people to decide. Like I've always said, God gives power to whom he pleases at his own time. What we are doing now is to make ourselves available for the will of God to prevail, and the will of God will manifest through the people. So we should allow the will of the people to prevail.
Talking about INEC,
please help us.
Dr. Moghalu, I'm wondering how much confidence do you have in INEC, and how do you react to the group calling for the removal of the INEC resident electoral commissioner ahead of Saturday's by-election?
To be honest with you, I'll be most unfair to INEC if I start before you now and say that I have no confidence in INEC. That is very unfair because I've not given them an opportunity to express themselves. For me, I see every electoral cycle as an opportunity for INEC to improve on their image. And I have every reason to believe that this Anambra State election, starting from the one that is coming up tomorrow, next tomorrow, Saturday, provides them an opportunity to improve on what they have done before, so that people will now have confidence. Like I tried to explain yesterday, a situation where we have 2.9 million registered voters, and at the end of the voting, about 300,000 or less come to vote, and then the winner wins with about 112,000. That is a clear demonstration of apathy. that is a clear demonstration of lack of confidence. So INEC must do everything they need to do to win back the confidence of the people in the electoral process, because that is the only way democracy can grow. That is the only way the interests of the people can be protected. That is the only way the wishes of the people will come to manifest. That is the only way political office holders will be held accountable. So for me, regarding the Resident Electoral Commissioner, which you mentioned, and the protests by the civil society groups, let me put this clear. Labour Party is not a civil society organization. And I'm not aware Labour Party came to protest, asking for the woman's transfer or removal or whatever. But the point still remains. I have nothing against the woman. I have not even met her. I've not engaged her. And one thing I also know is that at any electoral cycle, INEC as a central body sends other electoral commissioners from various states to come and partner with what they have in the state to assist them, all with a view to providing us a level playing field and engendering a credible process that will throw up who the people want. So I believe very strongly, for me, I have nothing against her. Let her be given opportunity to express herself, but I believe and I want to plead that whatever confidence that is placed on her, like any other person who will participate, they should be honest enough to justify it.
Dr. Magalu, we have to leave now, but I want to ask you again. Do you really think you can win this election against an incumbent, against your former party that has the federal might? How will your campaign address potential resource disparities or even institutional advantages that the incumbent may enjoy?
Hello, I didn't hear you. Come again with the question.
Well, I'm asking your confidence. How confident are you that you can really win this election against an incumbent and against your former party, the APC?
I am very, very confident. It is not impossible to defeat an incumbent. It has happened before in this country. Even in Anambra State, it has happened before. I remember in 2003 when we contested the election. At the end of the day, Peter Obi won us. Our leader won the election. I came second. The incumbent governor came third. It has happened before. So, and it has happened all over the place. So it will happen again. There is nothing unique about it. In as much as it's a Herculean task, we are